Happy Saturday morning, y'all. We're going to start our weekend vlog, and we're starting it out here in the garden. And I'm choosing semi-shade. It's already starting to warm up. Actually, I was cool this morning. Now it's starting to warm up. But if y'all remember last weekend, I sprayed the bell peppers. Well, most all the peppers, because they've been struggling with all of this rain and some high winds that we're just not used to, especially end of May going into June. Since last week, and of course we'll do a walk around, I am seeing new growth, more vibrant green leaves. Still some issues with the bottom ones. I expected that. So they're gonna fall off. And I did put more calcium nitrate. There is a couple of plants out here, and that would be the Romas. Y'all know that's followed me. I don't do well with Romas. San Marzanos, absolutely no issues. I'm struggling with blossom end rot on the Romas. So I have nothing to lose. What did I have? 3 of those plants. I think I started 6 seeds. 3 came up, and I said, well, I'm going to plant them, because I'm needing paste tomatoes this year. Well, there's one sitting right here, and I'll show y'all. I've been plucking all the ones that's rotting at the bottom, but we're going to boil some water, and I am going to add to a gallon of hot water a tablespoon and a half of calcium nitrate. Because it's water soluble, I'm going to dissolve it in boiling water. I'm going to let the water sit out room temperature, and that's what I'm going to direct feed the Romas. I have nothing to lose. It's not on my other plants that I have seen, knock on wood. So I have nothing to lose, but I really need to push that calcium nitrate because of the rains that we've been inundated with. When you grow in mineral tubs, in buckets, you lose a lot of your minerals. So we have to keep that in mind. When we're growing above ground, we're going to lose minerals and nutrients on each plant because that rain's just steadily washing. So that's why I always say you got to feed heavy or feed more frequently, should I say, when you're dealing with above ground buckets, container gardening, things like that. So that's why I feed such a strict regiment every 2 weeks. Now, it's always half mass. Y'all have heard me say that. But I'm going to go ahead and dissolve that calcium nitrate, and I'm just going to put a little drink. That's it. It's not going to hurt anything. I do have 2 Romas in these raised beds that is also planted with the San Marzanos. I'm still not concerned because I'm not going to overly feed, but I need to get some of that in there because a lot of times that's what we face is lack of calcium nitrate. Some people use Epsom salt. I choose not to use Epsom salt. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. There again, gardening is kind of like cooking. We do what we're comfortable with. We do what works for us as individuals. And we just share it amongst each other to try, or we've tried it and it didn't work. Epsom salt is one of those that doesn't work for me. So we're going to go heavy, and we're going to try something totally, probably not even recommended, but I don't have anything to lose. So we're going to be liquefying this calcium nitrate granules. But right now, I'm starting at one of my chef oranges. Y'all know that's my favorite slicing tomato. Oh, don't them birds sound so nice. I'm fixing to heavily trim. One is fine. This one, there's a couple of little legs that has some blooms, but I'm really going to go in and find some legs that doesn't have any, and I'm going to do a light haircut on this one. As we proceed through the garden, I'm gonna get a little bit heavier. Moving to next year, I love my square cages. This has proven to be what I need for indeterminates as well as determinates. So the 10 metal ones that I have, I'm gonna buy some Gorilla, I think it's called Gorilla spray paint, and I'm gonna spray paint them to get a rubber coating moving to next year, and that gives me 10 more. And I'm gonna do away with the round ones. I'm just gonna chunk them. I've tried to use them over the years. They just don't work. So I'm gonna try and modify them old rusty ones I have, because this is the way I'm gonna have to grow my tomatoes, in these buckets. And I also know where I'm not gonna grow them, because when we get to that other side, you're gonna be like, Lippy, when I tell y'all a jungle, it's a jungle. I mean, I'm waiting for monkeys and all kinds of creatures to start swinging in here, because it is the perfect habitat for them. I'm wanting to swing myself, because it's like, what did I do? So as Buddy told me last night, roll with it. You can make it work. And next year, we learn from where we place things, where we don't place things. So I know I'm gonna switcheroo peppers for tomatoes. And I'll show you that area as well, what I'm planning on doing. And I'm saying this all out loud because I gotta have reference, meaning I gotta have videos to what I'm saying so I can remember next year. Y'all get it, right? You know, because if I write it down in my book, I could say, well, move them to row A, to row... Y'all, by next year, I'm gonna be like, well, which one's row A, which one's row B? This way I have a video that I can go back to and say, okay, now I know what I meant. It's a Lippy thing. It's just a Lippy thing. So I'm gonna turn y'all around, and like I said, I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna go easy. But then we're gonna progress, and we fixing to do some whacking. Okay. This one really isn't that bad, guys, but I do see where I can take this one out, just like that. And this is blossom end rot. And this is what I'm finding on this Roma, and one that's in the back run. But if you look at last week's video, I couldn't walk through here. So even though this is not really a recommended method for determinate tomatoes, determinate to me is when they all come in my zone, I'm gonna harvest, and once I see that the tomatoes are spent, which usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks from start harvest to the last harvest, these tomatoes will be pulled. In our heat, come July, we're done with as far as determinate tomatoes. Now I can start a fall run, but if these come on, like I think that they will, I will have plenty of paste tomatoes, and I will just concentrate on keeping my indeterminates watered and fed, and they will grow all the way to November. And this is just one plant of San Marzanos. And I did see a few that had blossom end rot. Here is the other plant. So they are loaded. And what I did is I went in and I gave a heavy trim. Like I said, not recommended for determinates, but I'm opting to do so because I need to get some airflow, get these things turning, and go ahead and get them canned up. Because this year, as I pick, I will be canning. Doing 12 gallons last year was a little tough, but doable. So Those are fine. These are fine. But yeah, so as soon as I see the beginning like this, I pull them. From this angle, you can see I gave a heavy trim. So these were all completely shaded. Now, you don't go jiggy with it and just go to whacking. What I did is I concentrated on the base and of what I call leggies, and I left one as an example. Okay, this is not very long, so I left it. But I had some that were just hanging 2 feet. Well, I nipped that. So I tried to save one as an example, but I'm not trying to just whack. You still have to have foliage, but I need some airflow at the bottom of these tomatoes. And look, the basil now can get some light. And if you see a lot of runners, that's mint. Guys, grow your mint around your tomatoes. It's the best bug deterrent I have ever seen. While I'm out here, let me show y'all my garden bench that Mr. Eddie from Papaw's Place, aka Poor Boy's Little Homestead, he brought this to me when he came to visit. It's a Vivor. I absolutely love it. It sits with the perfect height. Now I can turn it over and kneel on it, but guys, I am loving my little garden bench. It fits perfect throughout all of my hoop houses, as I call them. And with the pockets, I can put all my little tools, my rag, my tomato clips. I am loving my garden bench. So Mr. Eddie, if you watch this, just know this thing's getting put to use. Okay, here is a good example. There's no fruit on it. That's just in my way. So now I can get some sun in here. All right, here's a good example of why I'm doing this. You see that yellowing? It's because it was so congested up in here. And like I said, this is not for everyone. Some people may be very uncomfortable doing this. But I'm not, because it's a jungle. This is mint. And I have to do this for the sake of my plants. And what I will do is late this evening, I will come and spray the base of all of these tomatoes that I'm trimming with liquid copper, because I have left open wounds. Well, we don't want a fungus or something coming in. Liquid copper will take care of that. So see, we have a good opening. And I just noticed something, y'all, look. 2 grew together. And that's the San Marzanos. Hey guys, if you're wondering what Buddy's doing, he's washing out our little chick waterer and feeder, because we can't make this up. I'm holding a baby chick, as in one. I walked out to the garage to get some leftover roast out of the outside refrigerator. Buddy had come around, I was getting ready to do our lunch, and I looked down, and about the time it chirped, I hollered, "We have a baby chick."
I said, ain't no way.
Buddy said, ain't no way, and it's running. Grandpa's on the ground, Buddy's on the ground. We net it, we catch it. We have no clue where would a single chick, baby chick, even come from. We don't know. Like,
Nearest
3 acres
chickens,
down
yeah,
is 3
3
acres
down, probably. Nearest chickens.
And I don't think this little chick walked 3 acres through the woods and made it to our garage. So I'm gonna do my best to keep it alive, and we have a baby chick, guys. I started to put it in because I got one broody hen. I said, no, I'm gonna go ahead and take care of it. And if y'all can look right over here, we have what I call my small chick container, which is really for dogs, and I have the large one. So we're gonna put some straw in here and get food and water and see if we can't keep this little fella alive. But we have no clue where it came from. So have y'all ever walked out into your yard and found a baby chicken?
When you don't have no roosters.
When we have no roosters. Before we head out to the garden, now that I've relaxed with the baby chick adventure, we'll get into that in the garden. Buddy was able to finish my little porch. He opted to use cinder blocks, and we measured my drop foot so it'd be an easy transition, and he just took some cut off lattice and he trimmed it out, and he also put the shims. Remember the cracks that was in it? He did shim them, and he put 2 coats of Thompson water seal, and next week he'll do another seal, and I'm gonna leave it just as it is. I do like the different wood grains, the different wood tones. And now I've got a couple of planters I'll put out here on each side just to give it a little pop of color. And so that's one step closer to a covered porch for the sugar shack. Looks a little bit different, doesn't it, guys? I got it all cleaned up, trimmed up. Here's that gallon of hot water that I mixed 1.5 tablespoons of calcium nitrate this morning, right before I sat down to start trimming everything. It has dissolved, and this is what I'm gonna feed mainly these raised beds here, because I've got some blossom enrot. But I know that it still looks like a maze, but guys, it was horrible. Now I am gonna string these up to separate them, but I have done major cutting today. And if y'all hear a noise, it's Mr. Buddy. He is mowing. Now the heat is getting to our pretties, but I'm steadily giving them water along with the rain. But I did feed them last weekend Miracle Grow, and I gave them a little taste this morning. But it's hard to see inside this jungle. Our dahlias, they're struggling with the heat more this year than last year. But I've got a new place that I want to plant dahlias next year. I got a new place, should I say. Look at these beauties. Just pops of color, guys. The only thing on this side that's taking a hit is right here with the sun, and this is really shade. It's really taking a hit. I love how the 2 arrangements turned out. Okay, here is the peppers. Remember, I showed y'all last week, oh my, between the wind and the rain and the deficiency, they all were looking like this, which I'm just gonna pop it off because it's gonna fall off. But I want you to see all the new growth, vibrant colors. So by feeding the calcium nitrate and spraying them with liquid copper, in a week's time, they have flourished. Remember those ferns I said I had nothing to lose? And I just made cuts and threw them in some dirt? Look at this. So they're taking root. And we'll just come down here. Look at the canna lily. Now these were cuttings that we took from this place when we first moved here. And I actually gifted quite a few, Miss Wanda, Mr. Danny, some when I went to visit, quite a few neighbors. So they are here for now till I get a permanent house. Here is one of our chef oranges. It has grown up into the mulberry tree. And I did get some air in here. I did a lot of cutting. But an indeterminate can take this. Determinate, like I said at the beginning, I chose to do that, but I cut where there was no blooms. But look down here. Now this is a tomato plant I've never grown. I had the seeds, don't know where they came from. This is a Dr. Witchy. It's an indeterminate. There's a couple here. There's a couple here, and they're large tomatoes. This is what they call a tropical sunset, indeterminate. It's a cherry tomato. First time ever growing them, so I'm real curious on the flavor. Here's the other tropical sunset. And I did not trim it on purpose. But can you see the leaves on here? I will be removing all of this, every bit of it. Now this is what they call a chef green. Never grew them before. It was seeds. And so I've got to do some research. Guys, I didn't do any research. Remember, I just planted them. Throughout here, we do have tomatoes, but it's called a chef green tomato. I want to say M.I. Gardner, but I'd have to look back at my book. Now the cucumbers, I'm harvesting 2 to 3 a day. They're doing amazing. And the grandson is in charge of finding the cucumbers. And let me tell you, that boy can spot them. I can't. Here is that no heat habanero. We planted 2 of them. And as you can see, one's growing up into this tomato. But we do have blooms on them. See, we're gonna have cucumbers and cucumbers. I just hope they keep coming in more and more so I can get a few pickles made. We have a little friend. Parsley is loving it here in the shade. There again, look. If I just touch it, it comes off. So I will spray again tomorrow some liquid copper. The green beans. I am now at 6 quarts. I will be canning green beans tomorrow. So I'm gonna have to come out here in the morning and I'm gonna pick to add to my 6 quarts. And I should have a good mess to can. And if I need more jar space, so if I only have 4 or 5 pints, y'all know me, I just use jar water to make up the difference, but they're loaded. See? So tomorrow morning, I'll give them another evening and probably get another mess. Now, if y'all remember, we couldn't walk through here, or when Mr. Eddie was here, we couldn't walk. Well, we can walk through here now. Major cutting. And here is that Roma. I just hope that I can recover the blossom end rot. And if it keeps giving me problems, guys, I will remove this plant. Everything else is doing good. This is a Tashi. This is the ones that I've never grown before. And I had 100% germination. Look at this. Very prolific. See? And I've got, I think there's 6 of these Tashis in here. Now this is a determinate. It's a Jolene. There's 4 here. We have 4 here and 2 there. Oh, I found one hiding. So the Jolenes, I have grown them in the past and they do good. Here's another Jolene. None of them have blossom end rot but the Romas. But the peppers on this side, and this is where I need to make a mental note, are doing fantastic on this side of the garden. So next year, I'm gonna concentrate working with peppers on this side. I don't believe I've ever grown red snapper. I don't know how old the seeds were, but I believe I planted 6 of those and 4 came up. So either I gifted 2 and planted 2, I don't remember. Guys, this is another Tashi. They're huge, but they have a eye drop that reminds me of a paste. But these Tashis are amazing. There's my little bench, y'all. This has been the best thing. My rag, my tomato clips, everything sits in there. I'm loving my bench. If I stand back, there's a set, and there's a set. So, if y'all know anything about Tashis, leave it down in the comments. And guys, we could not move in here as of this morning. And I'm gonna have to get Bud to help me with some strings. This is a cherry tomato, so I need to string it up. And the other side too. So once we get them hung, I'll be able to go through. But let's go to the other side. I'm gonna show you what I did. I took out the squash I had told y'all about. And this squash here. Now this squash is loaded. So I am leaving it. But as soon as I get the 3 zucchinis harvested, I am pulling this plant. Here is the front side of the hoop, next to my seating area. These peppers struggled a little bit. I sprayed them, and they're loading up in blooms now and looking really good in the foliage. Now remember these tiny Tims? Let me see if I can dig in here. Look right there. Now we did harvest 9 tomatoes between this one and the one I just showed you. We've got some more turning, and they are very, very sweet. So it's just one right here ready. Some more are starting to turn. Very sweet patio tomatoes. Now this one is loaded as far as you can dig. So I will grow these tiny Tims again, but I will stake them. I did not stake them. I didn't think I needed to, but they're starting to want to lean because of the weight. So moving forward, I will stake these. Now we're at the front side. And this is a jungle, but in a good way. Guys, these are definitely not top pick. As you can see, they run. But I want y'all to look. We are overloaded in purple hull peas. As far as you can see through here, I'm guessing minimum of 3 bushels just in this row or more. And that's what I was hoping for. So I will definitely grow the purple hulls in the front, but they will be on a trellis just on one side, not a hoop. And I'm gonna pause right here. What looks like sticks is purple hull peas. Amazing. So I know now where I want them planted every year, or my beans in general. So if I get enough this year, next year I'm gonna plant some beans that was gifted to me here. Only we are gonna have a one-sided trellis. But look at these. Nice sized purple hulls. Now the okra. Guys, the okra has been growing like crazy. Here's some pods in here. There's just one problem. Our grandson, Mighty Mo, saw his pawpaw eating a raw okra, which is Buddy's favorite. He said, I want to try. He loved it. Ain't a piece of, listen to my English, not a piece of okra has made it in the house. I thought I had one, but obviously when I set it on the table, sticky fingers come by and got it. Well, he will be back tomorrow. He went to see his daddy for a couple of days. He'll be back tomorrow here for his little summer vacay. And there's about 5 little okras. So by tomorrow, they ought to be right here, that sweet size. He'll clean every one of them out. I didn't need to grow a lot of okra this year. I got plenty in the freezer, and I've jarred some. I said this will be the year just to have some little fresh. Y'all, next year, I'm going to have to get a whole new row just for some okra, because our grandson absolutely loves raw okra. Y'all, he's like a rabbit out here. And squash, you got to hide the squash, because he'll tell you, fry me some squash. Fry me some squash. He loves fried squash. So tomorrow, he's got a couple of squash, a couple of cucumber, and he'll have him some okra. He ought to be happy when he gets here tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, y'all lopsided. I have y'all in the dahlia pot. That's why you're like this. I don't know where I set my tripod. I'm always losing it. So, let me go find it. I'll be right back, because I got to talk to y'all about this chick. Is that better? I couldn't even look at my own self. I was like, okay. Imagine when I first showed y'all earlier, I hadn't gone and looked what I said. I'm sure I was scattered. This is what happened. It was a little after lunchtime, and I said, you know what? I need to heat up some roast. We were going to have roast sandwiches, and I was going to do sweet potatoes on the side. No, we ended up with pickled beets and some pickled vegetables. Anyhow, I went out into the garage. I have a refrigerator there. That's where I put overflow, because you know that white one, that side-by-side is so small, and I'd like to replace it, but I can't find one that fits that hole. But it works and it's fine. I wouldn't care if it was purple. But anyhow, I went out there and I grabbed the roast. And I turned, and about that time, Buddy's coming into the garage from the outside to get 2 Gatorades, because him and Grandpa was building the porch. Just about finished, because they started early. And I heard something as soon as I saw it, running like it had just come from the garage, outside into the garage, by our rolling trash can that I sit there. And I hollered, oh my God, a baby chick. Well, Buddy jumps, because I startled him. His back was turned to me. He looks, he said, it's a bird. I said, it's a chick, it's not a bird. Oh, it's a chicken. I said, it's a baby chick. Well, it takes off and scoots across his leg. Well, Grandpa's on the back porch waiting for his Gatorade, and I scream, Grandpa! He thinks snake. He comes a-running. Now, why I screamed for him, I don't know. I was thinking we all got a corral. About this time, y'all know Lulu, the outside black cat. She was in her chair that she stays in the garage, sound asleep. Well, when I hollered, Buddy jumped. It startled her. She bolted out that garage and laid on the concrete. Well, Grandpa gets on the ground. Well, it had got behind some stuff for the house that we've been storing in there behind it. And so Buddy gets a blower and he lightly blows it to try to run it to Grandpa. Well, it did. It run past Grandpa underneath the boat that sits underneath the carport. Oh, sorry. Well, the cat's looking at it and I'm trying to watch the cat. And I said, get the fishing net. Buddy says, I don't have a net. I said, the fishing net. He says, oh, the fishing net. I mean, our brain is not wrapped around finding a baby chick that's maybe, 10 days old max? He sets it down and the chick jumps in it. So here we are, a fishing net with a baby chick, and we just had to take a breath. So I said, okay. I said, you know what? I got to film this. Now, normally I don't even think about it till after the fact. Maybe I am becoming a YouTuber. I said, I got to have this on film. People are not going to believe it. Well, Grandpa says, I bet the cat brought it in. I said, nope, because it was a little cool this morning. Little light mist rain. I was in the garage drinking my coffee, keeping quiet, answering comments, and trying to catch up on 2 weeks of emails, no lie. And I fed her. She eats in the garage. She's in her chair. I would have heard a baby chick, or if she would have got it, cats play with things and the end result's not good. I said, no way. Because she cared less about it. She was wanting to get away from it. But if you remember, our outdoor cat lives with our chickens. So we got into chick mode. And I said, Buddy, we got to go get the water. So he run out. We have a big tote. We have a large pop-up house. It's like parachute material, and then we have the little red one. They're actually for dogs, but they work for chicks. I said, we'll use the red one. He washed out the water and the feeder. I'm getting water. Grandpa goes and gets a bag of shavings, that I keep for mine, and we dump some in. I'm holding the chick still, and I get it laid down, and I put the chick in with the water. And I said, we have that little heater, that little stand, and it sits in the top of the garage with other electronics. I said, let's get it down. Because at this point, I was like, I think it's like 7 to 10 days old. I don't know. I said, but oh no, I don't have any chick starter. Now, I did have probiotics on hand. I did have electrolytes on hand, because I always keep regular water available, and then I mix the probiotics and electrolytes in another drinking container. But I didn't have chick starter feed. And Grandpa said, you want me to go to Tractor Supply? But he said, yeah, let's go. And Grandpa said, let's go in our truck, because there's a popping noise I want you to listen to and see what it is, buddy. So off they went. They were gone a little bit, and it's not 10 minutes from the house. And I've got this chick, and this red blow up, and I put it beak in the water, and it's drinking, and it's chirping and running around, and I'm looking at it, and I'm still trying to place, how does a baby chick just show up out of nowhere? And I think I told y'all a week ago today we lost Red, my big hen. I said, I lose one, I'm blessed with one. Your mind goes everywhere. Well, here comes Buddy and Grandpa with a little bag, with a little chick starter feed, and a box. I saw the box. I said, what do you have? Well, they had some pullets, and they had these two black sex links. I wasn't looking for chickens. I don't want any chickens. I got 7, and a fourth, because I got that one. He said it needed some friends. $3. I wouldn't have cared if it was free, but he got 2 pullets, $3. I said, okay, I guess I'm raising baby chicks, but I need to know, how does a baby chick arrive here? the closest chickens to us, no way this chick managed to go 4 acres. No way. But I still texted the owner. I said, do y'all have any chicks on the ground? She said, no, it's too hot. That answered my question. So we looked at the security lights. The whole night, Lulu was doing what she does on the back porch, in the garage. I mean, we're trying to, all 3 of us, I go and make a fresh pot of coffee. Y'all, we sat for an hour and a half. This is no lie. We just shut down all work, trying to wrap our heads around how does an infant chick just appear in someone's garage. We even took off, and I said, well, maybe there's a mama hen, got some baby chicks. She found her way here. So now we're looking behind bushes. We're walking the property. I hear a bird chirping. I think, oh, there's chicks. No lie, y'all. I wish I'd have been filming the whole thing. We look like 3 Looney Tunes. And I think one time Grandpa says, chick, 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 chick. And I thought, no, Grandpa, they're not coming to you. But I regress. Back to the story. So an hour and a half went by, and then we were able to take a deep breath and chalk it up to there may never be an answer. So what do? You do what anyone does, and you give it the best life you can give it, and know that it landed here for a reason. And you know what I always say, and what we all should say, never ask why, just accept it. And that's what Lippy's doing in her pantry, because it's too hot outside. I don't know how this is going to go. So I'm going to take y'all in, because I really need another cup of coffee. And I'm going to get on the floor, and I'm going to stick that camera in there so y'all can see Mystery, because that's going to be its name. I don't know if it's a rooster or a hen. Don't have a clue. And here's the thing. It looks just like an Easter egger. I even had to go back and check my girls to make sure. Y'all, my mind went everywhere. It just traveled the whole universe, and Grandpa and Buddy's. But anyhow, I know I'm rattling, but some of you may find this interesting and funny, and y'all may be going, I've heard of chickens appearing at people's property, but not a week-old chick. So let's go look at Mystery and Mystery's 2 friends. Oh, and then when I got the 2 out the box, I dipped their beak. Even though they have food and water, you know, you want to show them. As soon as I set them 2 chicks in there, and they're, you know, doing their noise, Mystery runs out from underneath the little heat plate and jumps in between them. Now, it's bigger than those 2 black ones. So it, you know, the black ones are probably, I would say, 5-6 days old. I don't know. But it's bigger. Jumps in between them, and wherever they went, it stayed in the middle, which now tells me it came from a cluck, meaning siblings. It wasn't by itself. So I'm probably going to walk the property again for the 100th time, just to see if another one appears. But guys, it's a mystery. So I'm hoping it's a hen. Buddy said if it's a rooster, can we keep it? That's debatable. I don't like roosters. I don't like the little white thing they leave in eggs. It's just a Lippy thing. Don't be hating on me. I'm weird like that. But let's go look at the chickens. I got to make some coffee, and I need to get on my lawnmower and help him. And then tomorrow, Sunday morning, we're going to resume, because I got to do the green beans. It's what I do for the weekend, so we're going to can together. It won't be like a tutorial, but I'm not going to let y'all miss a step for some of our new canners. And I don't know what else we're getting into. Tomorrow's not here. Only in Lippy's world can a chick just fall from the sky and choose me to raise it up. There you go. I kind of moved them. You see, Mystery's a little bit bigger than the other 2. But she went right to the food as soon as I put the food in. or it. I don't know. We're just going to say mystery. Very healthy, but there they are. And I've got their chick starter crumbles here. Now this is the probiotic and the electrolytes. And then back here is their water. And this is the small, portable, foldable dog kennel. And I found that it works great for raising chicks. And y'all have seen the big green one a couple of years ago. There's plenty of airflow. And I access it through this zipper. And it's easy to clean. Just pick the whole thing up, take it out, dump it. But I didn't put a puppy pad. I got too excited and, well, nervous. So when I do clean this out, I will be putting 2 puppy pads at the bottom and then the shavings on top. It makes it so much easier to clean. I just didn't want this in my pantry. So we shall see how this adventure goes. In our electric canner, I've added the water that meets the indicator line when you're pressure canning. There's a line in here. You bring your water up to that line. I will add the jars that I believe is going to be enough for this batch. I'll dip this jar in some of the water and set it into the canner. I've got 6 jars in my canner. I don't believe I'm going to have more than 5 quarts at most. But I went ahead and added an extra jar. And by adding the water is what's going to heat these jars up. But we won't dump this water out. We will dump the water back into our pot. Because remember, I measured the water according to the indicator line. Now here is pressure can. Here is water bath can. We will be pressure canning. We're going to time it for 20 minutes because we're doing pints. If we were doing quarts, we would do 25 minutes. This is the same amount of time if you were using an electric pressure canner or a stovetop canner. We're going to hit next. It said insert jars. We did that. Now it's going to be warming the jars. I've got a pot of boiling water here. I've got a pot of just warm water, and that's for my flats. And here is my green beans that I cleaned and snapped this morning. Good morning, y'all. It's Sunday morning. It's actually 9:45. If you hear a noise, we're still mowing. We didn't finish yesterday. Yesterday, it was all about mystery. That's the name of the chick. He, she, its name is Mystery. And I said this wasn't going to be a tutorial, and I thought, you know, I can't remember, and maybe I have, but a couple of you in the last week or two said, I just ordered me an electric canner, and I was tickled to death. But I said, you know what, maybe if I took my time, just did some green beans, but showed how I actually take the steps using my electric canner, may benefit a few of you ladies who just recently bought an electric canner for this year's canning season. So I was trying to show that I do fill the water up to the indicator line. Now this is for pressure canning. If you water bath in this, I'll show you that again, you know, when we water bath. Your water actually comes up, just like you would a stovetop, water above your jars. But in this recipe, it's pressure canning. So we got to have our water come up to the indicator, the line that's in there. I then, with clean, sterile jars, I dip some of the water because it adds weight to the jars as it's heating up. The reason why I have water boiling, I have found in the past, got something sticky on my hand, I do raw pack. This is still, in my opinion, raw pack. I'm going to blanch them 30 seconds max and then pull them out. Because I have found by getting a little bit of water into the green beans, you get a fully packed jar. A lot of you that's canned green beans sometimes have seen where you'll have this much green beans, but then there'll be a whole baseline of liquid. by doing this 30-second blanch, I am actually getting a full pint jar, and I'll show you as we move on. So my water's coming up to a boil. My flat water is at a warm state, so I'm gonna turn it to low because I don't want it boiling. And I'm just gonna add probably 3 flats right now, and then I can always add another flat to the warm water if I feel that I need it. Now also, I've pulled out 4 of my canned water, and I use these flats because that lets me know this is for my pressure canning. I'm probably gonna need at least 3, because anytime you're canning, whether it's a pressure canner, electric, or stovetop, you need to fill that space. If not, your jars are gonna flop. Well, I have found by putting my canned water in there, it holds them all in place just like a full canner, and then I let them cool down and I reuse these. It doesn't hurt. I just reuse them. And I have 4 of them. And usually I've never had to use over 4 because I'm not going to really can 2 jars of something. But if you have a small amount like I have right now, and as my garden comes in, I'll continuously do small batches. It's easier on me. I have filler jars, and that's what I call them. And so then you don't have to wait a long period of time to get enough of your product to fill up a canner. Now that my water's boiled, I'm gonna drain the green beans from this bowl. Y'all, I hope I get 4 pints. I'm just so tickled this season to can. You know, last season was a little cloudy days. But this season, it's all about the sunshine. And Mystery, the new chicken. And I'm gonna dump all of them at one time. And hopefully I don't splatter myself, because it's not that many. Now, if you had a lot, you would want to do this in batches. And I'm going to guesstimate 30 seconds. I think I'm going to be able to just pour them right into here. I wanted to show y'all this sign that was made for me. I turned my lamp off so y'all, I don't know if y'all can see, but it lights up. Isn't that the sweetest gift? And I have a little stand in the kitchen that I've got to get some double-sided tape, and I'm going to set it on the back of the stove. Now it's prompting me to fill the jars. And that's what we're about to do right now. So see, this process goes very, very fast. Now here's that water that's in one of the jars. We're going to dump them out. Now you can use chicken broth. I choose just to use hot water and a half a teaspoon of canning salt to a pint. That's what I do. And this is easy to touch because, like I said, it was a 30-second blanch. But it's going to yield you a fuller jar. And you will have to pack these down, guys, and debubble. Could I be that lucky? But I really want to, once I add the water, I really want to make sure I have plenty of green beans, because I am cutting it close. I said 4. We shall see. Okay, we're going to add our hot water and see where we're at. They may be a little skimpy, kind of like this one, but there's no way that I could take this amount and top all 3 off. I'd end up with some extra. So that's okay. For our first batch, I think we're going to be fine. Little skimpy, but okay. You really want to get a little bit more. So another cup of green beans and I would have been on the money. Okay, let's see how good I estimated. And I'm going 1 inch below the top of the jar, which is the last ring. And I will debubble. Now I'm just using an ivory chopstick, but the key is definitely debubble. And you'll find that you have to add some more water sometimes after you debubble. I think this is the jar that's got the fullest. And I'll show you something else. Our new friends that's canning. This is my little skimpy one. Okay. That one wants to stick up. Let's add it to the weak one. There we go. Another little shot, not much. Okay, this is a kraut packer. I'm sure there's other names for it, but I call it my kraut packer, and I'm gonna use the small end. Sometimes, depending on what it is that I'm canning, especially like greens, mustard greens, things like that, but I'm gonna use this as an example. If I would take this packer, because it's gonna spill over. Y'all see that? That was bubbles. So like I said, depending on the product, I will do this to debubble. Because sometimes your chopstick cannot get all the way around. I'm using white distilled vinegar. And we are going to go around each jar, especially since we use that packer. A lot of that salt could have come up. So you want to really clean the top of your jar, and that also gives you a chance to feel for any cracks or imperfections. I've got my hot flats over here. I have 4. You see my filler jars are sitting here. And they're hot, but they're not boiling hot. I think it makes for a better seal. It says you don't have to do it. I just opt to do it. Okay, we're going to go finger tight. Don't crank down. Okay, in goes our filler jars to fill in the gaps. Just like that. Works every time, y'all. Now we're going to put our lid on. It's prompting us to fill our jars, which is what we just did. And now it's heating up. The next prompt will tell us to add our regulator. I wanted to show y'all this. It is saying vent, and we're at 7 minutes. When it gets through venting, it's going to prompt us to add that regulator. It's telling me to put the regulator on. Now we have to hit next, and we walk away. It's telling me to put the regulator on. Now we have to hit next. Side note, we need to make sure that this pops up and locks. That's what's going to hold your pressure. There you have it. And this will count down from the 20 minutes because we're doing pints. And then it'll say finish, and you still leave it alone until it says cooled. And it'll prompt you to open the lid, and your canning process is done. And here is mystery. And see the markings? Very pretty markings. But very active. Oop, there we go. Beautiful markings. I'm hoping it's a girl. They're doing good. You can see the feathers just now coming out on Mystery. I'd say 10, 14 days old max, because you can see the little side feathers. But the two sex links are, they long-legged, y'all. Long-legged. We have reached the cool down mode. It's going to count from 6 minutes down to 0. And then we'll be able to remove the regulator and get our jars out. You see the pressure valve has decreased. It's just that simple, guys, using one of these Presto electric canners. And no, I'm not sponsored. And this is what I mean by that 30-second blanch. You will get a better quantity. See what I mean by doing the 30-second blanch and then jarring up? Here's a little bit of liquid, but that will settle, not much at all. And then when we get to this one, this was the jar that I was a little shy at. But there again, once they cool down, the green beans will sink down, but you're not gonna have that abundance of liquid. I said, this isn't gonna be a tutorial. Sorry guys, it turned into a green bean canning tutorial, didn't it? But y'all have not seen Mr. Buddy this weekend. That's because he's driving the mower to get it rinsed off, cooled down and rinsed off. That man has been mowing, weed eating, edging, trimming around every tree, trying to get our property back in shape from all of this rain. Looking at future forecasts, we'll have rain here and there, but not like we have the last 5 weeks. So it had done got the best of him, and we were just trying to maintain in between all this rain. And he was like, I'm spending the weekend in the yard. So other than finishing up that little project on the porch of the sugar shack, he has been working for 2 days solid. So I'm gonna end this weekend's vlog. Oh, but as I was waiting on the green beans, guys, I figured out what kind of chick that is. I did a lot of research. I think she, and I'm gonna try to stay positive, she is Americana. And I say that because I'm gonna insert a picture of a chick, Americana chick, that's only 1 week old. Well, there's quite a few. Do you see the resemblance, like identical? Now that has got us all questioned. Nobody in our area has Americanas. Now the curiosity has really peaked. And guys, I always say never ask why. And I'm not going to do that. But I would love to have the answer. How a baby chick appeared in our garage. We may never know the answers, but just this one time, Lord, let me know how. Because Americana, there's not one within a mile radius. So maybe you guys got a solution, because we scratching our head. But as always, stay safe, stay well, and God bless. Look for Mr. Buddy solo Thursday's video. Until the next one.